Good morning, students. Today we start the chapter Lifelines of National Economy. This is an extension, literally, of the chapter which we studied about manufacturing industries. Now, we studied there about what are the basic industries and fundamental industries for any economy, not just an Indian economy for that matter, but for any economy. And once and why are they important? And now, once they are manufactured, once we produce them, then naturally you also have to now start worrying about the commerce part of it. That is, its distribution. How you ensure that whatever you have manufactured or produced reaches the market. Otherwise, it would just lie rotten, and if it can't rot, yeah, it would corrode. Okay, so naturally, it makes no sense unless you can take it to the market and people or the buyers consume it by purchasing it. So let's start today how that process kind of gets done. We use different materials and services in our daily life. Some of these are available in our immediate surroundings, while other requirements are met by bringing things from other places. We saw that in the previous chapter that all the factors in in 99% of the likelihood you would not find them in one place. So you have to get them a bit from here, a bit from there, and then come up with the final product. Goods and services do not move from supply locales to demand locales on their own. The movement of these goods and services from their market locations to demand locations, yes, that's what we had studied in the previous chapter. That even if you have every factor of production in one place, the labor, the capital, the organization, the raw material, all of them. Though it is extremely unlikely that it would happen, but even if it does, you would still find that the market is not there. So you still have to look for market. Okay, it is not going to happen that you manufacture that particular thing in one place and right next door you would also find a ready market available for it. Okay. Yes, some people are engaged in facilitating these movements. These are known to be traders who make the products come to the consumers by transportation. Thus, the pace of development of a country depends upon the production of goods and services as well as their movement over space. Therefore, efficient means of transport are prerequisites for fast development. Movement, students, you have to understand, when the Second World War, just to kind of give you an interesting trivia, when the Second World War ended in Europe, you can understand there had been so much of bombing, there had been so much of aerial bombardment that the roads were literally gone. There were no roads, and once the war had ended, the first thing that the governments did, apart from trying to revive their factories and set up new ones, was to work on their roads. Because they understood that even when the factories get revived and the workers come back to the factories and they are able to train in new people, because so many young men had also died, not just the military population but also the civilian population, they would still need the infrastructure to ensure that whatever gets produced or manufactured reaches the market. So they had, whether in Germany, in France, or England, they took massive road construction projects to each and every part of their respective countries and continent, just to ensure that once the produce is out, there should not be a problem in taking them to the markets, whether through the trains, that is through the rail, or through the roads. So the next paragraph, movement of these goods and services can be over three important domains of our earth, that is land, water, and air. Based on these, transport can also be classified into land, water, and air transport. For a long time, trade and transport were restricted to a limited space. With the development of science and technology, the area of influence of trade and transport expanded far and wide. Today, the world has been converted into a large village with the help of efficient and fast moving transport. Transport has been able to achieve this with the help of equally developed communication system. Therefore, transport, communication, and trade are complementary to each other. Today, India is well linked with the rest of the world despite its vast size. diversity, and linguistic and social cultural plurality. Railways, airways, waterways, newspapers, radio, television, cinema, and internet, etc., have been contributing to its social economic processes in many ways. The traders from local to international levels have added to the vitality of this economy. It has enriched our life and added substantially to the growing amenities and facilities for the comforts of life. So essentially, it is trying to tell you, students, that we have come a long way, since the early times. Now you see that yes, everything is available to you. You just have to venture out and you would find everything, right from something which is manufactured in India or probably even in Uttarakhand to something which could be manufactured at some factory in Bangalore or Rajasthan or Maharashtra for that matter, and to the extent of the apples which are probably being grown in New Zealand. You find it all there for you to consume. So, and this has happened only because you are so well connected uh, internally and of course internationally as well. So, means of transport, that is land, roadways, railways, pipelines, water, inland, overseas, air, domestic airways, international airways, public undertaking, and private airlines. So it is essentially trying to tell you that the domestic airways, the private operators and the domestic operators, that is a private operator, for example, would be Indigo, SpiceJet, Go Air, and Vistara, and all of them. And then the government undertaking would be definitely Indian Airlines or Air India, as you might choose to call them. Um, Roadways. Let's come to the topic of roadways. Yes. Yeah. India has one of the largest road networks in the world, aggregating to about 54.7 lakh kilometers. That is, and this data is 5 years old. So you can understand we might have even reached about somewhere close to 60 lakh kilometers. In India, roadways have preceded railways. They still have an edge over railways, guys. Preceded railways, that means they have been there before the railways, so they still have an edge over railways in view of the ease with which they can be built and maintained. The growing importance of road transport via rail transport is rooted in the following reasons. Construction cost of roads is much lower than that of the railway lines. Guys, it is essentially trying to tell you is that the roads have always been convenient and far more convenient than railways. Nothing kind of, there's no guesswork here. We all know that. It's very very obvious. Road can be just you step out of your house and you see the road right in front of you. You can use it for whichever purpose you would like to use it for. You can straight away do whatever you want. But railways, now you have to go to Dehradun railway station, and then from there you have to think about doing whatever you want to think about, right? So these are the things which definitely, and the rail tracks more expensive to maintain. You need specialized people for that, specialized machinery, specialized engineering, specialized engineers to for the construction of all those railway tracks, electrification, the massively powerful engines, the coaches. All of that is a huge undertaking. It is not as easy. Because that you cannot assume that the rail tracks would take care of themselves. You need to have so many people just to look after those railway tracks. You have to ensure that when the trains are passing, there is no accident, right? Accident is of extreme importance, right? Because the rail tracks go through towns, villages, fields. You do not want any accidents to happen. Then we are talking about thousands and thousands of kilometers of rail tracks in India. So definitely rail tracks are not going to be easy to maintain and to supervise. Okay, compared to road, you just use it. You are on the road when you need it. You are not on the road when you don't need it, right? So that is what it is, and that's what we are here to look. Construction cost of roads is much lower than that of the railway lines. That is very obvious. Roads can traverse comparatively more dissected and undulating topography. It is very obvious. It is essentially trying to tell you that, say, for example, you have to go to Missouri, right? Now, roads are far more easier to construct and maintain if you have to go to Missouri from here. It's essentially trying to tell you that in the terrains which are not very easy and which are uneven, roads are always a preferred choice because they are easy to produce, or rather build, or and the maintenance of it is simpler. If you want to have trains going from Dehradun to Missouri, it would call for a massive amount of engineering prowess to maintain that and to build it. Different kinds of engines, coaches, and different kinds of training that would have to be imparted to you. If you want to actually experience what I'm talking about, then you'll have to go to the rail tracks which are there in the hill stations of India. And of course, if you can go to Darjeeling, just see how difficult it is. And even those rail lines were built by the Britishers. They have not been built over the last 75 years because they are extremely difficult to construct. And that is what it is saying here. Roads can negotiate higher gradients of slopes and as such can traverse mountains such as the Himalayas, which is obvious. Road transport is economical in transportation of few persons and relatively smaller amount of goods over short distances. It is saying that, say, if you want to transport, say, 20 kilograms of something, whether it's rice or wheat, it is very easy. You can put it in your bike, scooter, car, and just put it and drop it somewhere. It's very easy. You can just come out of your house, or your shop for that matter, and just drop it wherever it needs to be dropped. But can you just use train services for 20 kilogram of rice or wheat? No, it is not going to be economically viable at all, because then you spend up far more amount of money than you would actually make in that transaction by selling 20 kilogram of rice or wheat. So this is what it is trying to tell you. Road transport is economical in transport for, and as it also provides door-to-door service, thus the cost of loading and unloading is much lower. And finally, road transport is also used as a feeder to other modes of transport, such as they provide a link between railway stations, air, and seaports. So essentially, it is telling you that, guys, as you can just what we discussed. Say if you have to go to the railway station, Dehradun railway station, to then go to catch Shatabdi and go to Delhi or somewhere for that matter. What takes you to the railway station? It's the roads, right? You would not be going from your home to the railway station by helicopter, would you? You would just call a cab or take out your car, and someone would drop you at the railway station, or even for that matter the airport, right? You would not be taking a chopper from here to the Jolly Grant airport, and from there you would be then flying off to Delhi or Bombay, wherever you want to, guys. That is something which only Mukesh Ambani can probably do. None of us can. So this is what they are talking about. For common people, this remains the best choice when it comes to carrying people or transportation or goods, services, whatever we would like to talk about. So roads remain extremely important, and the most important, not just in India for that matter, in any part of the world, because the conditions are same. You can just venture out of your house, come out of your house, and you're on the road. But you can't just come out of the house and you find that you're on the railway track. All right? Thank you.